The people of countries all around the world tell stories that pass on to their children and grandchildren. Many of these stories have been told for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're called folk tales, and they help us to see how other cultures live, and we can compare our lives to the way people lived in the past. We can also think about how we live our lives and the choices that we make. The gold giving snake is a folk tale from India. It was first recorded more than 2,000 years ago. That's pretty old. I hope you enjoy it.
The Gold-Giving Snake, a traditional folk tale from India. More than 2,000 years ago, not very far from a small village, there lived a Brahmin called Haradatta. Haradatta lived a simple life with his wife and son, and as a religious man, he was well respected by everyone. Haradatta had an acre of land where he would work, preparing the soil and trying to grow okras, rice and peas. But no matter how hard he tried, few shoots came from his seeds, and even fewer plants grew from those shoots. Still he went to his field every day. The rustle of the leaves, the 100 shades of green he could see around him, and even the clear, clean air all gave him peace. And when the heat was too intense, he'd sit at the foot of an ancient banyan tree that rose high in the middle of his field. He would eat a mango or some berries and contemplate life, his duties, and the world. And sometimes he thought about all that he did not have, and sometimes he fell asleep. One hot afternoon, Haradatta awoke from deep sleep to see a snake slithering away from an abandoned ant-hill. This ant-hill had been there since his own grandfather was a child. It rose 12 feet in the air, an earth-red castle, a mere stone's throw from the tree where he slept. He stood. The startled snake drew upward, and its neck flattened to create a large and ornate hood. Haradatta quieted his body. He didn't dare breathe. He thought to himself, "This creature must be the mother of the field. I have never paid her my respects, and this is why my work here yields me nothing. I will bring her some milk." Sensing no further threat from the man, the snake slid off into the lush forest. Haradatta went home, put some milk in a basin, and went back to the ant-hill, where he said, "O protector of this land, forgive my disrespect. I didn't know that you live here. You represent Mother Nature, and I will honor you." And having uttered these words, he set down the basin of fresh milk and went back home. The next day he returned to check on the field, curious to know if the snake had drunk the milk. As he'd expected, the milk was gone. However, in its place lay a shining gold coin. In amazement he fingered the heavy, bright coin. Day after day Haradatta carried milk to the snake. She began to wait at the base of the ant-hill for his arrival. Each day she rewarded him with a brilliant gold coin, and he would add that coin to the stash kept hidden in the folds of an old length of cloth in a forgotten corner of his house. The days turned into weeks. The Brahmin grew more and more accustomed to the blinding sight of his gold. The time came when he had to counsel a family in the village, and he decided to stay there a while longer to visit the market. Before leaving, he asked his son to take the milk to the ant-hill in his absence. "Yes, father, I will," his son said, "but I really can't see why you need to offer this snake anything." The strapping young man took the milk to the field the next day, set it down, and went home. When he returned on the following day, he found a gleaming gold coin in the basin. The coin caught the sun and spun its radiance so that the young man was quite dazzled. "This ant-hill must be full of gold," he thought. In a heartbeat he knew he would do anything to find such a treasure. The next day he returned to the field with a basin of milk. The snake was waiting outside the ant-hill. Behind the young man's back was a heavy club made from the branch of an old rosewood tree. He placed the milk before the snake, then brought the club down on her head. But she drew back so swiftly that the blow was softened. The snake lifted her body up to look him in the eye. Her hood flared out, and she hissed low like a growling dog. Before the young man could even think of defending himself, she bit deep into his wrist, delivering a fatal dose of venom. His breathing ceased, his heart stopped, and he fell quite dead to the ground. His father returned home the next day to find his wife in tears. Haridata had enjoyed his time in the busy village and had brought back some small jewels for his wife. But the loss of his son was shocking, and as he comforted his wife, he felt very sad. However, when he heard that his son had tried to clobber the snake in the field, he dried his tears and said justice had won. The next day he took fresh milk to his field, stood before the ant-hill, and said, "You who represent Mother Nature, I have returned to pay my respects." There was no movement. Haridata called again, "Mother, I have brought you milk." A minute passed. He pictured what he had seen every morning, the gleaming gold coin in the basin emptied of milk. And he thought of the coins he had spent in the village, and the few that remained at home. This time he hollered, "Milk! I've brought you milk!" He was just about to give up when the snake slid up to the entrance of the ant-hill. "You greedy man! You have lost your son, but where is your grief? It is not natural to turn away from the pain and sorrow of death." "Please," Haridata said, "you and I have been friends." "From now on, you and I cannot be friends. Your son struck me, I bit him. It is true that he was young, but how can I forget the pain of the club on my head? And how can you forget the sorrow of your son's death?" The snake felt a strange pity for this man, whose desire for wealth overpowered his understanding of nature. "Take this precious stone," she said. "Do what you will, but from this day forth we are no longer friends." Haridata took the glittering red stone, and he turned from his barren land to go home, wondering at how it all went wrong.